Most people overcomplicate project management, but here's how I manage big projects and complicated tasks in less than 15 minutes a day. Whether you are handling next year's budget, planning a big stakeholder meeting, or just trying to finish a multi-step task without losing your mind, today I am showing you a super simple way to get it done. Plus, I will be showing you the exact insert that I'm using, which is project insert and also a task map insert, and how they keep everything organized without the overwhelm. So here's the thing. Most people approach projects in the wrong way. We tend to overthink, overplan, and overcomplicate things until it feels so overwhelming that we either procrastinate or just simply give up. So the truth is, you don't need hours of planning to manage a project or a big task. What you really need is 15 minutes of clarity each day. That's it. And that's exactly what I am going to show you today. My system is super simple and it only takes about 15 minutes to set up and even less to maintain it every day. I call it the frame it, break it, and flow it. So here's how it works. First step is frame it. What you do is you define the final outcome. What exactly are you trying to produce? Who's involved? Think, what is the final picture I am building here? For example, a completed next year budget request ready to be submitted to the finance department. That is your final outcome. So now step 2 will be break it. So what you will be doing here is you will be breaking that task into major phases or chunks. But you got to remember that you are not listing every tiny step yet, just the big rocks. For example, that I've stated earlier, gather department last 3 to 5 years expense inputs, requests from department, any additional budget that is required to be bought next year. And next is compiling data, analyze trends, create final draft, discuss with your team or manager, and lastly, request approval from boss before submitting the budget to the finance department. Step 3 will be flow it, which you will be putting the steps that you have mentioned earlier in a natural order, which piece depends on which. Then pick one thing to focus on for that day. That's it. Frame it, break it, and flow it. All done in 15 minutes or less. Now, let me show you how I actually put everything that I've said into my project insert. So this is the project insert that I use to manage my projects. As discussed earlier, the task that was mentioned was submit a completed budget proposal to the finance department. So the title would be, of course, we got to prepare the 2026 budget proposal, right? So that is exactly what I am going to write here. Prepare 2026 budget proposal. Okay, the objective, of course, I can write down complete and send the budget proposal to the finance department. And start date, you can write the start date when you want to start it and also when you're planning to end it. Make sure that the end date that you put is always earlier than the last date proposed by the department that requested for the proposal. I always do that. I don't wait till the last minute. So because sometimes there are things that can get carried forward and I would be having some problems. So that's why I always have a date which is much, much earlier than proposed by the department that requests for the information. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to write down all the tasks that we have mentioned earlier. So I am going to put these phase in the action box. So these are the key milestones. And for these key milestones, there are going to be smaller actions that you need to do in order to complete this task. Let's look at the gather 3 to 5 years expense input. Under this milestone, what I have to do is I need to jot down other action steps that is related to this. So for me to gather this expense report from other units or departments, I will need to send them an email. Send an email, request, And then I have to follow up with, let's say I'm going to submit to our HR department and also the finance unit in my department. And then the next one is request additional budget request for next year, right? So request additional budget needs, because there's always time where the department will tend to want something. So that's why before I submit the budget proposal, I will be emailing to the relevant units and ask if they need anything that needs to be purchased for next year. So, and then for this, I will need to email the unit heads, and I will also have to follow up with them. And I also have my own data bank where I tend to check whenever there are requests along the year and I couldn't accommodate for that particular year, I will bring forward for the next year. So I have to check my own data bank for any requests made. And then for this, I have to send an additional email to the relevant unit to ask whether or not they still need that requesting for next year. So the next in the list is compile data. Okay, just so you know, this list, I have already arranged it according to what is the next step. When you make your list and if you find that those arrangement is not in order, so make sure that you always put it in order first and then only you bring it to your project list. So the next step is compile data. So I will need to create an Excel spreadsheet, okay, and so on. I will be transferring this information here, and as I write them down, I will be writing down each task that is needed for that particular key milestone. So in addition to this, the most crucial step is assigning due dates for each of this major milestone, because by doing this, it will also help me to see the natural flow of deadlines, space out my workload realistically, and then I will know exactly how much time I have for each part. What I do is once I've written down everything, I can actually name all these key milestones, and then I can also plan out when I'm going to start it and when is the last day when I'm going to work on this. And these are the weeks section. So what I do is I will always highlight them, and I like to write the month or the date. So let's say this is for the month of April, and the next 4 weeks is for the month of May, and then next 4 weeks is for June. So I will just write down the date for that particular month. So let's say it's 1, and then 8, and then 15, and then 22, and then 29. So I will just keep filling on the dates. And then let's say for the gather 3 to 5 years expense, I will want to make sure that I am done by 29th of April. So I want to make sure that I am doing it on the first week itself. So on the first week, I will just put the mark here. So I'm planning to complete it on 29. So for email requests, I am going to request for 1st of April, and then I will need to follow up with them the following week. And then with finance also, I'll have to follow up then. And then additional budget needs also, I am planning to complete it by 29th. So I will email all the unit heads on the first week and then follow up with them on the third week. And I will check my data on the first week itself. And then I will also send another email on the first week or second week. It's up to me. So based on the way I am marking off this section, I will know how heavy is the month going to be, or I can push it for the next week and so on. So let's say the end date that I have set is 30th of June. So I will know that, oh, I have plenty of time for me to create the Excel sheet and plenty of time for me to discuss with my team or with my boss or anything. So when I actually lay out everything on this project insert, I will be able to see clearly whether or not my 12 weeks are going to be busy, when are the week that I am going to have a lot of tasks on, or can I move certain tasks to the next week, or I need to bring it forward. So these kind of things, I will be able to see it when I put everything on this paper. So that's why I prefer to put in a project insert and plan it out. So instead of cramming everything at the last minute, I can really pace myself 15 minutes a day on the right step at the right time. Also, when I sat down to do my daily planning, it is so easy for me to just check what's due soon and schedule my focus task for the day accordingly. So this entire step, as I mentioned, it just took me less than 15 minutes to do. And now every morning, all I need to do is just open up this project insert and see where I am now, exactly what to work on without overthinking it. So I'm not overcomplicating this entire project. It's just a simple structure. So I always know what is the next move, and I don't have to be having a blank mind when I sit down to do my work. I know exactly what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And even when my boss comes and asks me, so what is the progress with this project? I will just tell them, you know what, I have sent them an email. I have requested for additional budget and I'm waiting for the reply. And I have done half of the budget and I am still needing to check some things. And the reason why I will be able to answer what is the status of the project, because I have already planned. And even if he asks me certain tasks, I have already written down those tasks here and I know exactly when I'm planning to do it. So let's say he will ask me, so when are you planning to discuss with your team? And when I take a look at my team's schedule, and I'll just say, oh, you know what, I have planned it for the second week of May. And once I discuss with that, I will come and inform you what is the outcome of the discussion. So what about smaller or multi-step tasks? Every task in your life is not a full-blown project. Sometimes it is just a complicated task with lots of moving pieces, right? So things like setting up a new software, planning a team lunch, filing taxes, these are all too big, but they are also too small to be considered as a project. So that's where my task map insert comes in. As you can see, the difference between the project and the task map is task map has a lot more smaller mini tasks that needs to be done, whereas project, it will take a long duration to complete, and task map does not take long time. Probably in about like a week or two it will be done, and the project will take about 3 months, 4 months, or 1 month. So that's how you will be using this project insert. So now let's take a look at how I use the task map insert. So let's say I need to organize a small team training session. So I will be writing the task title as organize a HR course for the department. Okay, then I will start listing out, find a speaker or trainer, get quote, get budget approved, book training room, send invites to team, arrange snacks and drinks, and set up projector and materials. So the outcome of this goal is to complete a HR course. Okay, the start date, let's say I want to plan this beginning of May. The planned program is on June. So I need to complete all of this in, let's say, 31st of May 2025. Okay, so for all these mini tasks, I will need to set up the due date so that I know when it needs to be done, and I get to control when and what needs to be done along that 1 month. And then the status, let's say I am looking for the speaker right now, and I'm also trying to look for a quote, getting quote from them. So I will just mark dot on the things that I am doing, and once, let's say, I manage to find the speaker, fine, I will just cross it off. Let's say I'm still trying to get quote and I'm following up with them and I just managed to get, let's say 2 quotes, but I need 3 quotes. So I will put a note here, 3 quotes, but right now I have 2 quotes. I'll just write that down. So I'm still following up with the other company, for example. So I will just mark like this because I know that second step has been done. By marking it again, I know that something has been followed up with that thing. So, and then get budget approved and so on. So it's up to you how you want to mark this thing. But this is the way I am doing. And down here, I have a tracker. So as soon as I'm done with the speaker, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and there are 18 boxes here. So for this first step here, so I will just mark off the tracker. It's my own tracking system. So the reason why I actually put such an odd number as boxes, because sometimes you don't know how many tasks are there. It could be 5, it could be 8. So what I do is, depending on the number of tasks, I will just divide the box and then I will color them. So at least I will be able to know that how much I'm progressing. And as I color them more and more, I know exactly, oh, you know what, I am getting closer to finishing this task. And sometimes I even tag these tasks as urgent, waiting for approval, or schedule, so that I know also what is moving and what is pending. And let me tell you, mapping out the steps like this literally just take you 5 minutes. And now, instead of thinking what else I am forgetting, everything else is so clear on one page. Once the project insert and the task map is set up, my daily routine is I will be opening up my planner and I take a look at the current project or task, and I will just identify one action step for today, and I will be spending about 15 minutes moving that one thing forward. So if I finish early, great. But if not, I still made progress without the chaos. No endless to-do list and no mental overwhelm. Just 15 intentional minutes a day. So just in case if you're wondering what are these numbers on the top, I give name to all my projects so that at the beginning of my project section, I have the code and I know whether or not it's in progress or it's already done. This is one of the ways for me to keep up because I want to know how many projects am I active in. And that's also a way of me knowing whether or not I am making myself to do a lot of things. So take control of your work and time by picking one project or messy task from your plate. Remember to frame it, break it, and flow it. You don't need a perfect plan. All you need is just a simple map to get started. So once you start doing this, you will notice difference almost immediately. Your mind feels clearer because you are not juggling everything that is in your head anymore. And you will stop feeling stuck or overwhelmed because you always know what is your next step. And you will also start building momentum little by little every day without the pressure of doing it all at once. So remember this. You don't need a complicated systems. You don't need to spend hours of planning. You just need 15 minutes of intentional focus each day. And I promise you, you will be amazed at how much you can achieve. If you found this video helpful, make sure that you like, subscribe, and also hit the bell button for more planning and productivity tips. And I would love to hear from you. What's one project or multi-step task you are working on right now? Drop it in the comment box below and see you next time. Bye!